Welcome back. Today we are walking down the deepest, most restricted corridor of our collection. We are opening a file that doesn't just record history, it is currently rewriting it. This is the growth archive of Sam Altman. To understand the man who is building the mind of God, we have to go back to a quiet, lonely bedroom in St. Louis, Missouri in the early 1990s. The world outside was analog, baseball cards, bicycles, suburban lawns. But inside Sam Altman's room, something else was happening. At 8 years old, he wasn't playing with his birthday gift, a Macintosh LC2. He was performing surgery on it. He took a screwdriver to the beige plastic casing. He needed to see the motherboard. He needed to touch the green silicon chips, the logic gates, the physical reality of the machine. Most children look at a computer and see magic. Sam looked at it and saw a system. And this was the first, most critical entry in his personal archive. The realization that the world is not magic. It is a machine. And if it is a machine, it can be taken apart, understood, and hacked. Sam grew up as a precocious, anxious observer. He was a gay kid in the American Midwest during the early 2000s. A time and place where being different was a recipe for isolation. The physical world was a lonely place for him. But the digital world? The digital world was infinite. He told reporters years later that finding AOL chat rooms was transformative. While other kids were learning social hierarchies on the playground, Sam was learning them in the raw, text-based chaos of the early internet. He realized that on a screen no one cares who you are. They only care about what you can do. By the time he reached Stanford, the boy genius archetype was fully formed. He studied computer science, but he spent just as much time studying power. He looked at the university system and saw inefficiency. He looked at the job market and saw a trap. So he dropped out. Not because he couldn't handle the work, but because he calculated that the world was moving too fast for a 4-year degree. He founded a company called Looked. It was a location-sharing app that allowed you to see where your friends were on a map. By all metrics, it should have been a revolution. It was the precursor to Find My Friends and Snap Map. He worked himself to the bone. He barely slept. He suffered the founder's grind that we glamorize in the growth archive. And yet, it failed. Looked was acquired for a modest sum, but it never changed the world. This failure was the most important data point of his life. It taught him a brutal lesson. You can be the smartest person in the room, you can work harder than anyone else, but if you are building the wrong thing, you will still lose. He walked away with a few $1 million and a silent vow. He would never again waste his energy on small ideas. He was done with apps. He was ready for systems. Most people, after selling their first company for millions, would retire to a beach in Hawaii. They would buy the fast car and the big house. Sam took his millions and bought a ticket to the engine room of Silicon Valley. Y Combinator. For those new to the growth archive, Y Combinator is not just an investment firm. It is the Harvard of the internet. It is the factory where unicorns are built. Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox, Reddit, they all came from this one singular incubator. And in 2014, the legendary founder of Y Combinator, Paul Graham, did something that shocked the tech world. He stepped down and handed the keys to the kingdom to Sam Altman. Why Sam? He was only 28. He hadn't built $1 billion company yet. But Paul Graham saw something in Sam that defied typical metrics. Graham famously wrote a sentence that has become part of Valley mythology. You could parachute Sam into an island full of cannibals and come back in 5 years and he'd be the king. Think about that image. It describes a man who doesn't just survive chaos, he organizes it. He structures it. He dominates it. As the president of Y Combinator, Sam wasn't just investing. He was observing the matrix of the global economy. He saw thousands of startups fail and a handful succeed. He began to understand the power law better than anyone on earth. The idea that one single success can outweigh 10,000 failures. During this era, his writing shifted. He started posting essays on his blog that read less like business advice and more like prophecy. He wrote about superintelligence. He wrote about the merger of man and machine. While the rest of Silicon Valley was obsessed with selling ads and optimizing click-through rates, Sam was looking at the horizon. He realized that the next great leap in human history wouldn't be a social network. It wouldn't be a phone. It would be a new form of life. He began to gather a tribe. He was networking with the billionaires, the physicists, the eccentrics. He was assembling a war chest of influence. He realized that to build the future you couldn't just write code, you had to write checks and you had to write policy. He was evolving from a builder into a visionary. He was preparing for a project so ambitious that saying it out loud sounded like madness. He was done with startups. He was ready for the endgame. In 2015, a shadow fell over Silicon Valley. There was a quiet, terrifying realization among the elite. Google and DeepMind were winning the race. They were hoarding the world's top AI talent, and they were building proprietary systems behind closed doors. Sam Altman, along with Elon Musk and a few other titans, decided that this power was too dangerous to belong to a corporate monopoly. They needed a shield. They needed a counterbalance. They founded OpenAI. This file in the Growth Archive is perhaps the most ironic. OpenAI was founded as a nonprofit. It was designed to be the good guy, a research lab that would build safe artificial general intelligence and give it to the world for free. It was the Avengers assembling to protect humanity. They recruited the smartest minds on Earth, Ilya Sutskever, Greg Brockman, luring them away from Google with the promise of saving the species, not increasing shareholder value. But idealism is expensive. Training neural networks requires computing power that costs hundreds of millions of dollars. The nonprofit model was bleeding out. This led to the Great Fracture, a moment that changed history. Elon Musk, frustrated by the slow pace and the lack of a clear path to victory, tried to take control of the company. He wanted to integrate it into Tesla. Sam stood his ground. In a power struggle that remained secret for years, the two most ambitious men on Earth clashed. Musk walked away, cutting off funding. Sam was left with a half-built brain, a team of geniuses, and an empty bank account. This was the crucible. Sam had to make a choice that is still debated today. To save the mission, he had to destroy the structure. He turned OpenAI into a capped profit entity. He took billions of dollars from Microsoft. He sold a piece of the soul to save the body. Critics screamed betrayal. They called him a sellout. But Sam called it survival. He argued that you cannot save the world if you are bankrupt. He was no longer just a researcher. He was the CEO of the Manhattan Project of the 21st century. The button was in his hand, the uranium was spinning in the centrifuges, and he was ready to press it. November 30th, 2022. Mark that date. In the timeline of human history, there is the world before that Wednesday and the world after. 4 years, OpenAI had been building GPT generative pre-trained transformer. It was a digital ghost in the machine, feeding on the entire text of the internet. It had read every book, every poem, every line of code, and every dark forum post humanity had ever written. Internally, the engineers knew it was magic. But Sam made a decision that baffled his team. He wanted to release it to the public. Not as a product, but as a low-key research preview. They expected a few thousand nerds to play with it. They expected it to be a quiet beta test. Instead, they got a civilizational shockwave. Within 5 days, ChatGPT had 1 million users. Within 2 months, 100 million. It was the fastest growing consumer application in history. But it wasn't just an app. It was a mirror. For the first time, humanity looked into a screen, and something intelligent looked back. Could write poetry, debug code, pass the bar exam, and simulate empathy. Sam Altman became the face of the future overnight. He was on the cover of Time, he was testifying before Congress, he was meeting with prime ministers. But if you look closely at the footage from this era, footage we have analyzed here in the Growth Archive, you see something different in his eyes. You see a calm terror. He knew what the public didn't. He knew that ChatGPT was just the baby. The real monster, GPT-4 and the future GPT-5, was already growing in the server rooms. He had opened Pandora's box, and he was the only one holding the lid. He began to speak of aligning the AI, but the world began to ask a terrifying question. Can you align a god? Or can you only pray that it likes you? Sam became a paradox. He was the man selling the fire, while simultaneously warning everyone that it might burn down the village. He carried the weight of a species on his shoulders, all while wearing a gray t-shirt and blue jeans. Power, as we often see in the growth archive, attracts gravity, and gravity crushes. In November 2023, the board of OpenAI, the very people tasked with ensuring the safety of humanity, decided that Sam Altman was the danger. It happened with brutal speed. On a Thursday night, Sam received a text message asking to meet the next day at noon. On Friday, he joined a Google Meet call. The camera turned on, and within minutes, the board told him he was out. The news broke the internet. The man who held the keys to the future was locked out of his own building. It was a coup d'etat in the kingdom of code. The board released a statement claiming he was not consistently candid. The subtext was much darker. They feared he was moving too fast. They feared he was prioritizing product launches over safety protocols. They feared he was an accelerationist who was willing to risk everything to reach AGI. What followed was the most chaotic weekend in corporate history. It was Shakespeare played out on Twitter. Sam sat in a hotel room in Las Vegas watching his empire crumble. But then, something incredible happened. The employees of OpenAI, the brilliant scientists who could have worked anywhere, revolted. 700 of the 770 employees signed a letter threatening to quit if Sam wasn't reinstated. They didn't choose the safety of the board. They chose the vision of Sam. Sam posted a photo of himself wearing a guest badge at OpenAI headquarters with the caption, "First and last time I ever wear one of these." It was a flex. It was a message to the world that he was inevitable. By Monday morning, the coup had collapsed. The board was purged. Sam returned as CEO more powerful than ever. He had survived the assassination attempt. He was now untouchable. But the scars of that weekend revealed a terrifying truth. The control of artificial general intelligence is fragile, human, and prone to error. We came within inches of losing the company that controls the future to a boardroom brawl. So, where does that leave us? We stand today at the precipice. Sam Altman is no longer just a tech CEO. He is the architect of a new geological era. He speaks of a future that sounds like a dream, universal basic compute, where AI generates so much wealth that poverty becomes a memory. He is scanning the eyeballs of millions of people with silver orbs for his WorldCoin project, preparing for a day when we will need cryptographic proof that we are human and not digital imposters. But there is a detail about Sam that haunts me. It is known that he carries a blue backpack almost everywhere he goes. Inside, there is a MacBook Pro that can allegedly access the OpenAI servers. But he also admits to being a doomsday prepper. He has spoken about having a stash of gold, guns, batteries, and Israeli Defense Force gas masks. He has land in Big Sur where he can fly to if the biological or digital viruses get out of control. Think about that contradiction. The man who is building the future is also packing a bag to survive it. He is the Robert Oppenheimer of our generation. Oppenheimer gave us the power to destroy the physical world. Altman is giving us the power to replace the mental world. As we close this file in the growth archive, we are left with the ultimate question. Is Sam Altman the savior who will lead us into a post-scarcity utopia? Or is he the sorcerer's apprentice, conjuring a spell he cannot reverse? He is a techno-optimist who preaches caution. A modest man with a God-complex project. A shy coder from St. Louis who became the king of the Cannibal Island. The story of Sam Altman isn't finished. In fact, it is just starting to accelerate. We are all passengers on the ship he is steering. The destination is unknown. It might be paradise or it might be the bottom of the ocean. But one thing is certain, we cannot get off the boat. Thank you for exploring the growth archive. If you want to understand the future, you must understand the past we just uncovered. Hit that subscribe button, because the history we are documenting is happening in real time, and you cannot afford to look away.